Hi, and welcome back to the channel 60-Second Tarot based on my book, 60-Second Tarot. We're going to cover the people cards today. They're also called the court cards, and they are the page, knight, queen, and king. I have the wands suit up here. I'm not sure how accurate the colors are on these, but you get the idea. So with these cards, I have specific interpretations that I use. They are the only ones in the deck that don't have numbers on them. So you do have backgrounds, but you don't necessarily have a number to work with. But I do have them in categories, which will help you further narrow down what these cards are talking about or who they're talking about. So the pages, there's 4 suits in the deck, which we'll get into a little more detail on the suits as well and on timing and things like that as we go. But there's there's 4 suits. So we have a page of wands, swords, cups, and pentacles. We're just looking at wands right now because the pages to me represent children or they represent a message. And these meanings or what I've assigned to these cards. We'll go into further detail on the card of the week when we get to these particular cards and the keywords for them and various optional meanings that you can use. But when a page comes up, to me, it's either a message. So in this case, we have Page of Wands. So it would be a message about business or about work or about a spiritual message of some sort because of the suit. Or it is a child, and each suit has a description, a physical description as well, which we'll get into later. The knights represent something situational. So a situation that's changing or some kind of movement happening because knights are on a horse, they're moving. Or it represents a young person aged 18 to 30, somewhere in there. So you're kind of an adult at 18, but you're still a young adult. So for me, it's a young adult person aged 18 to 30. And then the kings and the queens for me are literal people. So even though the page could represent a child, it could also represent a message. The knight could represent a situation or a young adult. The king and queen are always a person to me. So these are actual people. Maybe they're the deciding factors in a situation. If you were going to look at somebody as a knight or a queen, or as a knight or a king, the knight would represent somebody not as mature or not older like the queen and king could be if you were looking in those terms. Otherwise, the queen and king could represent anybody. It can be a male or female for either card. And this is more about masculine, feminine tendencies. So feminine tendencies are passive, receptive, receiving type energy. You can look up more about masculine and feminine, like in Chinese medicine or face reading or different things like that. These are personalities. The masculine is more active and even contractive, but it's like more of the giving. The queen is more of the receiving. And people play different roles in relationships. So it's not necessarily based on your gender, but it could be. It's going to be whatever you assign to these cards. So as always, it's always helpful to program your cards. All right, that's it for today. And thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you soon.